Houston, we have a problem. When 8-year-olds are deciding the narrative, we're in real trouble. I mean, I actually want to laugh, otherwise I'll cry. But it seems that common sense has left the building and some weird sort of malevolent spirit has entered the room. You see, if my 5-year-old son told me that he identifies as a girl, the first thing I would ask him is where did he hear those words, because frankly they belong in an adult conversation. And rather than pandering to him and changing all his pronouns and embellishing his delusion, I'll ask him questions like, what is a girl? What does a girl do? And what makes you think that you are one? But it seems some adults are prepared to embellish this fantasy and potentially set these children up for a life of gender confusion and delusion, because that's what it is, in my view.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to discuss this story about a teacher who alleges she was fired because she refused to honour the pronouns of an 8-year-old, the preferred pronouns of an 8-year-old child. And this is very concerning. This is a teacher who is a Christian and she didn't want to play along with this game. And because of that, she lost her job. Why is this even an option for an 8-year-old? And why does everyone else have to go along with it? Very, very concerning. So let's take a look at the story from the Telegraph. A primary school teacher has claimed that she was sacked after refusing to use an 8-year-old's preferred pronouns. The teacher is taking legal action against Nottinghamshire County Council, which runs the school, for alleged unfair dismissal. She claimed that 2 years ago, the school where she worked decided to facilitate the social transition of a girl who wanted to be treated as a boy. Wow. The school instructed all staff to always refer to the girl with male pronouns and a male name, and said that she should use the boys' toilets and dressing rooms. This is complete insanity. And now we're completely ignoring what is safe, what is appropriate for children. The teacher said that she repeatedly raised concerns about the pupils' welfare and followed the school's whistleblowing procedure to raise safeguarding concerns about the girl's social transition. It is a safeguarding issue because she's being put into the boys' toilets, into the boys' dressing rooms. And at what point do you decide to go along with a child's delusion? Children think they're all sorts of things. They can relate to, playing out things, being Elsa, being Spidey. They might want to be called Elsa. They might want to be called Spider-Man. Do we go along with that? And again, as a Christian teacher, why are her needs ignored? We put the needs of one group over that of other groups. We put the rights of one group over that of another group. Why do certain rights supersede others? The school responded by writing to the teacher to inform her that the child would be moved to a different class to safeguard him from any potential harm, according to the teacher's employment tribunal claim. So now she's being treated like she is the one who is abusive somehow. Why not look into the parents, to be honest, and ask the parents, how did the child even come up with this? How did the child come up with this? We have Cherlize Theron, who is basically threatening violence against people who aren't for kids being exposed to drag queen shows. Drag queens who are basically male strippers, S-workers. So, anyone who has a problem with that, she threatened, violence. But this is a woman who claimed that at 3 years old, her boy, who she adopted from Africa, identified as a girl. So she started the transition process at 3 years old. This is a woman who boldly proclaimed that. Why would a 3-year-old even know about this sort of thing? Even know about gender ideology and identifying as the gender that you're not? Why would a 3-year-old even know about that unless that was planted in their minds?
Have you seen the recent Cherlize Theron clip regarding drag queens? I'm going to show it to you in just a second. So either Cherlize Theron has never seen a drag queen show and doesn't realize they are basically exotic dancers, men dressed as women, dancing sexually, which is fine in a 21 and over club, which is where it belongs, but not in front of children, not in front of minors. Anybody under 21 should not be attending these shows. And yet somehow they are in our school system, and not just in America. It's also all over the world. It's being pushed as an agenda. So either she's never seen one and we'll just let her have a pass, or she's pushing child pedophilia on the world. You decide. Here we go.
Is this right education?
Yes. We love you, Queens. We love you, Queens. We're in your corner, and we've got you, and I will f anybody up who is like trying to f with anything with you guys. It's really, in all seriousness, there's so many things that are hurting and really killing our kids, and we all know what I'm talking about right now. And it ain't no drag queen, because if you've ever seen a drag queen lip sync for her life,
Yep.
it only makes you happier. It only makes you love more. It makes you a better person. If I could do a death drop right now, I would, but I would probably like break my hip. But, and listen, I want to ask everybody out there, please, please support all the great organizations that are out there helping all of this nonsense going away like it should. All of these incredibly stupid policies. Bye.
Bye.
No more room for hate. Only love, and love equals drag queen.
And you don't think this child is going to be confused? And that's considered, you know, compassionate. And if you don't indulge in this delusion, then you're considered a bad parent now. Likewise, this teacher had this kid removed from her class as if she's the threat. When the kid is 18, okay, they're an adult and they make their decisions from then on. But as an 8-year-old, I mean, even if you think a child can make a decision earlier than 18, fine, but not at 8 years old. Not at 8 years old, to be dressed, you know, in boys' clothes, to be going into the boys' bathroom at 8 years old, as if that is appropriate. And what happens when this 8-year-old eventually goes through puberty, you know, when they get a bit older and starts having periods? Are they still going to be going into the boys' bathroom? We know in Oregon, they're investing, like $5 million into putting sanitary products into the boys' bathroom, just to go along with this whole thing. $5 million to go along with, you know, a girl who wants to identify as a boy. We're now putting millions of dollars into this when the school system has huge problems. When we look at the reading ages, the standards when it comes to reading and writing and doing maths, rather than putting that money into, which is apparently, they figured out it was worth 30 teachers' salaries. Rather than putting that money into, you know, getting more teachers or more support for students who can't read, maybe that money could go into one-on-one tuition. But no, we're spending it on putting sanitary products in the boys' bathroom. This is how crazy this world has become, both in the UK and here in the US. And of course, the option of puberty blockers may present itself when we start going along with this delusion. So we're going to get a girl who's potentially be put on puberty blockers and her breasts will stop growing. By the time she's an adult, she's basically left infertile and underdeveloped as an adult. What if she changes her mind? Believe it or not, people change their minds. That's why we have what we call detransitioners. There's plenty of them, but they don't like to acknowledge that. Once you start going along with the delusion, other things present themselves, such as puberty blockers, which is basically chemical castration. And you're going to want to avoid that because, to me, if we're going to talk about a so-called trans genocide, that is the real trans genocide. Children being chemically castrated, and even physically, because some of them are given access to these procedures, contrary to what they want you to believe. Look at Jennings. As a boy, as an 11-year-old boy, Jazz was put on puberty blockers at 11, had a micro penis, and therefore there wasn't enough penile tissue for the bottom surgery. So that caused another whole lot of complications. So they had to use stomach lining to create a makeshift vagina And if you watch Jazz's reality show, they talk about all the complications. The whole thing is experimental.
I started the puberty blockers at age 11 and hormones when I was 12.
She's one of the first to have undergone complete pubertal suppression and lack of growth of the skin and other tissues, which we rely on as surgeons to do this operation. I was just not expecting her to have a complication as severe as what she did have.
The wounds were definitely separating, and she formed like a blister, it's almost like a blood blister.
As we were getting her onto bed, I felt something go pop. And when I looked, the whole thing had just split open. So the dehiscence on the outside, it was bad. She really was under so much tension that it created these large wounds. So we took a little bit of a skin graft from the other side of her groin, which we didn't use before, and I just put that in over the open wounds, repacked the vagina, and we covered everything up. Let the skin recover as much as it can. Skin grafts don't always work, and if that happens, then we will probably just do the skin grafts again.
Let me just take a picture too. Poor thing, you could be a porn star for all the photos we've taken. I have some concern that we can get enough mobility of the tissues that we can make the labial structures look convincing.
You know, I really thought after this third surgery that everything would be smooth sailing, but now there's this whole hiccup. My pee stream is not quite going out in the right direction, and just recently, I've been experiencing less clitoral sensation. I feel like I've already lost the aesthetics, you know, hopefully after this revision, it'll look good once it heals, but if I lose some of my sensation and nerve endings, I might never experience an orgasm.
Every single child or adolescent who is truly blocked at Tanner stage 2 has never experienced orgasm. I mean, it's really about zero.
The doctors didn't even foresee these complications because this is experimental, what we're doing with our children. Tavistock Clinic. Again, another experiment that went terribly wrong. And I hope every single last one of those children's parents sue the clinic. And now it's closed down. The teacher, who was a Christian and could not be named to protect the anonymity of the child, was told that her personal beliefs, if acted on, could be a direct breach of GDPR and an act of direct discrimination. She claimed that she was later suspended and put under disciplinary investigation for her alleged ongoing refusal to follow a management instruction. The suspension was lifted after the teacher said she agreed to make every effort to avoid unnecessary contact with the child and to avoid using any name or gender-specific pronouns if interacting with the child. Wow. So this teacher was put all through that just because she didn't want to go along with honouring, so-called preferred pronouns of an 8-year-old. That really shouldn't even be an issue at 8 years old. She then raised safeguarding concerns with the school's governors and the local authority, citing scientific evidence that encouraging young children to socially transition carries significant risks for their health and welfare. Exactly. There's a bunch of scientific evidence, even evidence showing that instead of it being gender dysphoria, it could be depression. It could be autism. As we found with the kids from the Tavistock Clinic, they had other issues that were misdiagnosed as gender dysphoria. And some of them ended up having procedures to transition, completely changing their bodies forever. Then we find out, oh, well, no, actually, you were just depressed. We could have treated the depression. We could have assisted you in dealing with, your conditions other than gender dysphoria. So yes, absolutely. But why is that scientific research ignored? Because it doesn't go along with the narrative. The only long-term study, the Swedish study, found that the unaliving rate was higher post-surgery and more than likely attributed to regret. But we're not allowed to talk about those studies. We don't even have to present studies when it goes along with the mainstream narrative. Of course, they don't present studies, but yet they're using all this hyperbolic language as if to say these procedures and going along with these preferred pronouns and things of that nature is essential, that we need to allow kids to go through these procedures to save their lives. Hyperbolic language like that, without any evidence, without any anything to back it up. The teacher, who is now working in a sandwich shop, claims that she was sacked for gross misconduct after she shared information about the child with her lawyers in preparation for a judicial review claim against the school and the council. She said that the school has reported her to the Teacher Regulation Agency for an alleged confidentiality breach, which means she could face a lifelong ban from the profession. And the thing is, obviously she had to share the information with her lawyers because she was preparing a claim, but they used that to now act as if she published the child's name on Twitter or something. She has now brought an employment tribunal claim against the local authority that runs the school, claiming unfair dismissal and religious discrimination. The employment tribunal was expected to hear the claim in August. Teachers are being bullied not to question trans-affirming policies when evidence shows that the actual result of the approach is to put the welfare of children at serious risk, the teacher said. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is just going to deter people from entering into the teaching profession, and it's going to cause a continued mass exodus. That's what this is going to do. The government is planning to publish guidance for schools this term on how to respond to pupils who are questioning their gender. Teachers will be told that they do not have to use a child's preferred pronouns, a source told The Telegraph. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't help this teacher, but I do think she has a very good case, and I wish her all the best in her legal action against this school, because this is unacceptable and it is bullying. And again, it's putting the needs of the adults who are basically more than likely grooming this child to be trans, putting their needs above that of others, or their rights, so-called rights, above that of others. So let me know what you think. Pretty insane situation, if you ask me. I can't believe we're here. I really can't. And what is the age limit, or what's the minimum age? What if a 4-year-old comes to nursery and says, I want to, a boy, saying he wants to be referred to as she from now on, and call him Geraldine? Does the nursery teacher need to honour that? They're going to get sacked? What is the age, the minimum age? In all seriousness, and if anything, it's the school who is being negligent by putting an 8-year-old girl in the boys' bathroom. That's negligence, if you ask me. Pandering to woke agendas apparently means you no longer consider what's in the best interest of the child. Very, very sad situation. And of course, we're going to see more and more people homeschool, because I don't know what kind of agenda these schools are on these days. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.